Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to talk about the Oscar nominations. The uh, Academy just opened the voting process and it'll be open for about a week. So if they haven't campaigned for a nomination now, it's probably too late. So I'm going to take the knowledge that I have as a viewer and trying to predict how these things are going to play out. Best Picture is always going to be the hardest one to predict because it can go anywhere from 5 nominees to 10 nominees, depending on how the bracket breaks down. Historically, ever since they've started nominating 10 films, it's landed about 8 or 9 nominees, but I'm going to go ahead and do 10 here and talk about one I'd like to see sneak in with a nomination. At this point, though, the 10 films that look like they're going to get nominated are 1917, The Farewell, Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, The Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Parasite. And then right on the outside there, we might see that Two Popes sneak in with a nomination. It's kind of a quiet film that seems its way through the awards circuit so far without quite getting the love it probably could in a weaker year. Director goes back down to 5 nominees. Most of the categories are 5 this year. Noah Baumbach for Marriage Story, Bong Joon-ho for Parasite, Sam Mendes for directing 1917, Martin Scorsese for The Irishman, and Quentin Tarantino for his project Once Upon a Time in Hollywood should see some success come nomination morning. Watch out for Greta Gerwig to sneak in there. It's kind of an all-male category historically, but I think she could sneak in there with a well-deserved nomination. Best Actress is a pretty competitive and surprising category this year, but I feel pretty certain that Scarlett Johansson, Lupita for the Marriage Story, Lupita Nyong'o for Us, Charlize Theron for Bombshell, Renee Zellweger for Judy, and Awkwafina for The Farewell will land in that top 5 this year. Slight upset could be seen with Cynthia Erivo for Harriet. So pretty much going to list about 6 possible nominees, and one of them obviously won't see success come nomination morning, but that way gives us a little bit of wiggle room in my predictions. Now we're down to Best Actor. That one has seen a lot of mixed bag lately in all the other award shows, but it's starting to take shape here, and I'm beginning to think Antonio Banderas for Pain and Glory, Robert De Niro for The Irishman, Adam Driver for Marriage Story, Leonardo DiCaprio for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Joaquin Phoenix for The Joker will find some success, and as well as Adam Sandler for Uncut Gems. There's a lot of people behind him to finally get some notice in some serious acting because his comedy has left a little bit to be desired as of late. Best Supporting Actress could see some really interesting first-time nominees with two women who've been nominated before, but probably putting out, in my opinion, a little bit better work this year than they have in the past. Laura Dern was pretty fantastic in Marriage Story, standing up against some pretty high-profile performances. Jennifer Lopez in a interesting new career move for her show Hustlers. Margot Robbie for Bombshell. Zhao Zhuzhen, an older actress from China, I believe, getting some love for The Farewell. And Florence Pugh in a star-making turn for Little Women. But I think we could possibly see a two-time nominee this year and see Scarlett Johansson get her second nomination of the year for her film Jojo Rabbit. That doesn't happen very often with all the great performances out there. She's definitely the dark horse of that category, but that's one I would definitely like to see and fully support happening. Pardon me. Now we're down to Supporting Actor. There seem to be 3 pretty set nominees here with a little bit of wiggle room for the other 2. The set ones are Brad Pitt for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Joe Pesci and Al Pacino, both for The Irishman. A little bit of wiggle room here. I can see Willem Dafoe for The Lighthouse, Anthony Hopkins for The Two Popes, or Song Kang-ho for Parasite. And guys, I do apologize if I'm mispronouncing some of these celebrities' names. It's not out of disrespect. It's just having not heard them in the circuit too much. I don't know the correct pronunciation, so feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, and I do apologize if my mispronunciation has offended anybody. But I would love to see Song Kang-ho get some love for Parasite. He was very good in that film. Adapted screenplay. It's always hard to adapt somebody else's material and make it successful, because speaking somebody else's voice is always that challenge, right? But I can see The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, The Two Popes, and Avengers Endgame. 5 of those 6 will definitely be in that category, I believe. But then on the other coin, you've got original screenplay. We've got The Farewell, Ford v Ferrari, Marriage Story, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Parasite, and Knives Out as a surprise little maybe in there. I'd love to see Knives Out get nominated. It definitely took the murder mystery film and turned it on edge a little bit and made it a little more interesting to watch. Here's an interesting category. Animated feature. In my opinion, this was a weak year for animated films. Lots of sequels that didn't quite live up to the hype that they should have or could have. And then no real surprise animated feature that nobody saw coming. Like when Frozen, the first one, came out, and everybody was surprised at the success and well-crafted filmmaking behind that movie. But the sequel, we'll probably still see a nomination this year. So Frozen 2, How to Train Your Dragon 3, Toy Story 4. The sequel's getting love there. But we could also see some nominations for I Lost My Body, Missing Link, and Abominable. I'm not going to talk too much about the animated shorts, live-action shorts, or documentaries. I just don't know a lot about them. That's where my expertise is a little waning, I guess. I'd love to learn more for future videos, but for now I'm going to leave those alone, as I don't want to hurt any feelings just by randomly guessing. That's not what I'm here for. Cinematography is pretty competitive category, but relatively easy to predict, in my opinion, too. I'm going to give it to 1917, Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, Joker, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, with an outside chance of The Lighthouse getting a nomination. Editing, I'd give that to Ford v Ferrari, The Irishman, Joker, Marriage Story, or Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Bombshell might sneak in there because it's a newsroom story, lots of editing bouncing around there. Could be seen as a success in some people. I don't see it getting a nomination, but if I'm going to pick an outside one, I would pick Bombshell. Foreign film is Parasite. I think it's that movie's category to lose, but it's going to have some company with Pain and Glory, Les Miserables, Honeyland, and Atlantics. At least that's my guess. Again, these are all guesses.